and the English girl, Megan, is hitting on me.
Oh, nice.
We're going to go on a double date. We're talking about what we're doing tomorrow. We're getting real with each other. I'm hanging out with Linda Evangelista. She's my best friend. Brian starts to get pissed.
Fucking cock block Brian Adams, you bitch. You bitch.
It's wonderful. I can't believe my own good luck.
Oh, you love it.
I'm going to go on a double date with Linda Evangelista on Saturday.
I don't know if it's because I'm like looking for content or maybe as we discussed on, I believe it was on PMZ, or was it APS when you were mistreated at Sylvain? Was that APS or PMZ?
Yeah, that was APS.
APS. Maybe customer service just getting worse everywhere, but I keep finding myself in these tiffs, things that are just stuck in my craw. And normally I'm a big time value of money guy, or the numerical value of your time. So I'm like, I'm not gonna waste my time. Just best revenge is a life well lived. Oftentimes Dylan's like, he'll dilly dally. Mm-hmm. But now that we have this content, I'm like, sometimes I'll mine and I'll go further than I would just because it's funny and I'm also pissed.
You mean you go down like a wormhole or something?
Yeah, and fight back against the power that is some of these faceless corporations that refuse just to be human to us.
Give me an example of what you're talking about.
I have a very specific example of what I'm talking about. So on Sunday, one of the shows I produce, they put out an audio-only episode, but you got to add like a waveform to it, like a visualized audio waveform. Mm-hmm. And there's ways to do that with the multiple editing softwares, but they're all like way more complicated than they should be. And there's some online editors that you can do it, but you pay monthly, like out the nose, for very specific type of capabilities, like adding audio waveform to a file. But it's worth it to me. It streamlines it. It's easy. I have one. I can't remember what it's called. Works fine all the time. Use it. I pay $30 a month for it. It was having problems on Sunday. It wasn't working. So then I had to sign up for Capwing. Kapwing, Capwing. Same service, essentially. You can upload an audio file, add a visual waveform, make it pretty. You can put it on YouTube.
So you're under the gun. And for work purposes, some app or some other thing ain't working. So you got to go to a third-party provider, a competitor of the software you're already using, so you can pull this off and kill it. And
exactly. I'm glad you're picking up what I'm laying down, Pat.
Okay, so then you're going to this, what's it called, this one?
Capwing.
I assume most apps that are very popular, that a lot of people are in the same business we are. What's got 30,000 user reviews or something?
I don't even know. I found it on Google. It had the capability I wanted. The site seemed good enough. I didn't read the fine print, and you cannot upload more than an hour file on this, which of course I did. Now, when you can do more than an hour file, or even though you can't do an hour file, you can just split it up in two. I can combine them later. It would have been fine. But then I tried the other one, the old one that wasn't working, and it starts working. So I've been signed up for Capwing, paid $29 for 1 month, for about 90 minutes.
Okay.
And I emailed them and I said, hello, I purchased Capwing today. I'm hoping to get a refund. I have canceled my pro subscription. Capwing did not have the capabilities I needed. I didn't finish any projects. Would really appreciate if you'd be willing to refund my first month in good faith since I did not use the product. Thank you. Please let me know if you need any further info from me, and I appreciate the help. Real nice.
I think so.
I love talking to customer service people.
To be fair, and I don't want to,
you're playing devil's advocate, and I'll kill you, but okay.
Let me say this. This is like perhaps they're thinking. I don't know if they're going to fight on this. I can't wait to see where this story goes. But maybe you went to Macy's and you bought a jacket that you wore to a wedding. I'm sure it was a little more than an hour and 20 minutes or however long you were into this software. But then you wore it to the wedding and you bring it back the next day and say, I'd like all my money back. And they're thinking, you wore the jacket.
Well, Pat, you sound quite a bit like Gloria, my customer service representative from Capwing. But the problem is, Pat, Macy's doesn't have the technology to see what, when, where, and how you use that jacket. Because obviously people are bilking them, and cheapskates want to flaunt to their friends and put on the nice clothes, return them later, keep the tags on. It's genius, really. Why wouldn't you do that?
100%.
I'm not going to wear an outfit twice anyways. But Capwing, they could tell I've used it. They could tell I didn't do any projects. They saw I uploaded something over an hour. They start asking me specifics and talking about policy, and our policy is this.
Policy.
And I replied back. I said, Gloria, thank you for getting back to me. A digital credit is literally worthless to me since I am not using your service. I understand you have a refund policy. These policies are there to have barriers in place for people who are trying to game the system. I am not doing that. I had your product for 3 hours before asking for a refund and not using it. I'm asking you to make an exception since I clearly purchased for, and I went all caps, a couple hours and did not create any or export any projects. I know, without a doubt, this is something that is possible. And I promise you that refunding my $24 will be more valuable to your company than not doing so. If you are unable to do so, can we escalate my case to somebody who has that authority? I hope I don't sound rude, but it's very clear I didn't want to use the service, and any company who actually has morals would issue the refund. This is me starting to make it a little bit for the show.
Sure, I understand. And that's probably what motivated you to continue this, because at $24, if you spend 18 minutes on this, now you're losing money, Nick.
I understand that, and I love doing that type of math. Even if I bargain barrel price my time, I'm in debt at this point. But nonetheless, they did escalate it. Oh no, I got one more email from Gloria. Then they escalated it to Vanessa, because I gave them a terse response back, and it left on Gloria or Vanessa saying they're not going to refund me. It didn't say it. We'll give you the digital credit, and I almost replied back, "You'll regret this." But I held off, and I wanted to discuss with you guys how I should proceed. My ticket's been closed. But I'm thinking of trying to find their corporate headquarters and picketing.
No. Boy, big mistake on their part. I don't know how big this company is, but you could just go over there and ding them on the review section and do like a screen grab and go, I will change this review if you give me my $24 and make me whole. I'll take it off.
I will definitely write it like that, but more in Liam Neeson type tense where they're gonna have real problems.
As a business, it's tough. Can I tell you a quick little story? My customer service when I owned that tour company, because this is definitely, you're providing a service for a family. They're spending money. The tour is 2 hours. If they ain't happy, say the driver pulled over and while he was letting you go see the Hollywood sign, you caught him smoking a cig off, very inappropriate stuff. Yeah. People would write reviews. I would Yelp. Well, I hate Yelp because they have no phone numbers on their website, no way to get a hold of them if a competitor is leaving reviews for you to destroy your good name, which commonly happened in Hollywood in the tour business back in the day. But anyway, moles. So I what I used to do is I just DM the reviewer if the reviewer was really bad, and I go, hey, and I check the books. If it was a family of four and they paid $25 a ticket, it's $100. I said, I'll mail you a check if you take down the review. I'm sorry. And they'd always do it. And then one time, because I didn't mention it to the reviewer, not only did they take down the review, but gave me 5 stars and said, the owner personally reached out and gave us all our money back. And that was the review. Well, guess what happened? Because people are slimy, sleazy pieces of shit.
You were like broke terms of service for bribing for a review?
I started getting people leaving me 1-star reviews because they heard that I would just mail them a check. And it got really gross. One time I got on the phone because they left a number. Oh. And the husband picked up the phone and I said, hi, I'm Patrick from Rock and Hollywood Tours. I read a review that you and your wife had gone on a tour this Saturday and you were unhappy. And he's like, we didn't go on a tour this Saturday. I go, you didn't go on a tour, your wife? He's like, no. I was like, basically his wife was so slimy that she wanted to make $100. I had to alert her, that her husband, that your wife is a scoundrel.
Well, this just turned into an impromptu segment of all-time backfires. This sounds exactly like when the government in India was paying people to turn in heads of snakes, so then people started breeding snakes. It's exactly
unintended consequences.
So that was impromptu segment of all-time backfires, and this is another podcast show.
Hey!
And I am today's host, Nick Davis, saddled up next to my co-host, the Irish Bug, Patrick Hickey. We are not saddled up next to Dylan Wren. He is off gallivanting in his wife's homeland, Argentina. I'm sure it's actually wonderful. I've never been out of the country.
All the Merlots down there. He's really enjoying himself.
I bet. I would love to. I would love actually to see.
What am I talking about? The Malbecs. I'm a fucking moron.
I hope he's taking a lot. He's not one to document his trips, which should be lauded, live in the moment. But I would love to see what they're seeing in Argentina. I want to see through his eyes. He needs a GoPro.
Anything family, he likes to keep close to the vest.
Yeah, yeah.
He's not like me. My life's an open book on this podcast. That's what I give to you guys.
I like to be, but when it affects other people, then I try to keep it close to the vest. But I would prefer to keep no secrets. It sets you free. You can with a clear conscience. Why do you laugh so much at that?
Oh no, I understand your circumstances. So you're just waiting on this to work itself out. $24, Nick. I think you got to let it go, pal.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the opposite and keep this going for a while and possibly incriminate myself with some threatening correspondence. What do you got today, Pat? I am going to talk about, my love for the UFC, so I want to get other people interested in the sport I love so much. So I'm going to talk about some MMA athletes who have crossed over and become actors. And you may be like, oh, I didn't know that, and then start diving into MMA and love the sport I love.
Really?
And then if we still have time, but this is break glass in case of emergency, I'm going to show you some feminine products, some pictures, and I want to know how much you've been listening to your wife. See if you know what these things do.
Okay, that could be fun.
It's a big TikTok trend.
Oh, wow. Hey, I can't wait for that UFC segment because I had heard, this is lore, maybe this is one of those segments, Ronda Rousey at the height in 2015 when she was 10-0, and then she got her ass beaten by the daughter of a pastor.
Holly Holm.
She had already signed a contract to do the female version of Roadhouse, a vehicle by Patrick Swayze, a remake where it's a female bouncer, and the rug got pulled right from under her feet after she got her ass kicked by the pastor's daughter. Is that true?
From everything I understand, that is a true story. That will, however, not be covered in my specific list of MMA stars who have crossed over into acting.
Understood.
But it is an interesting one. Probably one of the most notable examples. There are many that I left on the cutting room floor, and maybe if this segment goes well, I'll bring them in later. But these are real notable ones, I'll tell you.
All right, I'm going to talk. People are probably so sick of Will Smith. So the slap, everyone's so tired of that. I do want to touch on one thing.
Harry Potter's tired.
I heard that too. He doesn't even want to talk about it. And I get it. It's like we all have talked about it. But I got a new angle because there are some new developments. Apparently, Will Smith checked into a high-end sanctuary to deal with the stress this has all caused him. I'll get into that. Maybe I'll get into it in a few minutes. I'm also going to talk about this little wormhole that I went down to, if time permits, where I was researching for a PMZ. Sounds like you and I live the same life, constantly looking for content to talk about.
Everything that crosses my purview, I'm like, can I talk about this on our shows?
And I found a story about Madonna. I guess she's very thirsty these days and did some weird little TikTok thing at the age of 63, minutes before the broadcast of the Grammys 2022 came out. Yeah, and then I went on this crazy wormhole thing where I'll get into it, where our culture, this generation of people, there's never been a generation that has lived their entire lives where they've seen photos and video of a personality, and I'll discuss famous people, where you get to see them live out their entire lives before yours, and how odd that is, because we're the only generation. 50 years ago, my mother, for example, I think between the ages of 0 and 30, there's 5 pictures that exist of her. And now, on Sunday, I went to Toscano Gardens, and there were 30 pictures taken of my daughter at one place. It's a different time. Anyway, I'll get into it. Whatever you want to start with, Nikki.
I want to hear. Let's start with the first thing that you.
Will Smith.
Yeah, we'll start with Will Smith. But when you were our little pre-production, you told me about kind of the premise of the Madonna thing in the pictures. What I thought of was that. documentary of that child star with the big tits who had the breast reduction.
Oh, Punky Brewster.
Punky Brewster, yeah. The way they had her entire Hollywood hanging
all
out
captured.
Which is actually really cool, and that's kind of like a very early version of that.
That's a good point. I think it was called Kid 91 or something like that.
Kid 90s.
Kid 90s.
Yes.
It was a decent doc. It was definitely one of those, what do you call it, where it's a piece all about yourself, a piece of content.
kind of a puff piece. But I know what you're talking about. But either way, my friend and confidant, Kevin Conley, is in it. He plays a role.
That's right.
Pat, do you we can either pause, but I think it would be way funnier if you vamped. I have to pee.
You got to pee?
Yeah.
Right.
I tell a personal story.
Oh, sure. All right. Okay. All right. So Nikki will pull up a picture of. All right. So I'm gonna
I'll put it in post.
You'll put it in post. Okay. So I'm just gonna talk. All right. So I'm actually gonna talk about the Madonna thing first. All right. So Madonna, who is an icon, who I looked up to. This was like my first, when that Like a Virgin video came out, I was like, I think it was Christmas 1984. I was 9 years old. I was just fascinated with who Madonna is. Who is this girl? I was titillated. I think it's the first time I got a hard on. And I was like, I got to buy her cassette. So I got the Like a Virgin cassette. I listened to it. I wore the goddamn cassette down. I'm like, I worship. It was my first, her and Michael Jackson were my first like music icons. Anyway, fast forward to now. Madonna is 63 years old. She hasn't had a hit in 20 years. And now I'm watching the things that she's doing on social media. And I'm as a person who's a little bit younger than her, I'm kind of dealing with these feelings of seeing someone that was very sexy and hot and new, and now she's 63 years old, and now I think she's kind of making a fool out of herself, and it's kind of weird. So she did this. I already told Nikki. Maybe we'll put the clip in post here. Hey Brian, put up that weird TikTok thing that Madonna did. And I'm like, why is she doing this? Hey, what are you doing over there, Nikki? There's no more claw over there.
Can I have a bang?
Oh, no. All right, so here's the story. Fans were puzzled on Sunday night when the 60-year-old posted a 13-second clip just before the 2022 Grammy Awards, showing the Material Girl wearing heavy silver chains and a black sheer top and her blonde hair in 4 braids. And it was a close-up of her face and large pink pouty lips. And she was just moving back and forth. And then this is where I like how a story has no story. So they just go, the post featured a close-up of her face. Her fans and followers couldn't help but be confused by the bizarre TikTok. And then they start just doing the comments of the people that were just commenting on the TikTok like they have anything to say about it. Anyway, so I watched this thing, or I read this thing, and I'm like, a couple things occurred to me. One, I always say we're living too long, because if this had happened 50 years ago, she'd already be dead. She wouldn't live to be 63 to be kind of, I don't know, hurting her legacy by kind of acting like an idiot. And then this triggered a thought of mine. You know, I was researching a PMZ episode, and it was going to be a horrible segment, which I threw away because it was cruel and it was kind of making fun of old people.
Unusual.
Yeah, well, it was the segment I pitched to you. I was like, hey, I want to do a segment called "Look Who Hit a Wall," in which a really young, good person,
Good-looking person.
a really young, good-looking person is now older, and they really hit a wall. And I realized that was inappropriate. And I didn't like myself for that segment. But as I was doing,
So you're telling me that one on Laura Young isn't part of that segment?
no. But I do remember. What's it called? Clickbait, where I was like looking up like people who aren't attractive anymore.
Yeah.
And of course, this comes. I'm seeking it. Who am I kidding? I'm looking for this content. And one of the things that came up was, do you know who the actress Bridget Fonda is?
Yes.
Okay. And the whole thing was like, it showed a picture of Bridget Fonda, who is in a
I don't really know who she is. I've heard the name.
Okay, why don't you pull up a picture of her? I think I might have noted it as young Bridget Fonda. And please forgive me, listeners who are watching this. I truly, I'm not like trying to make light of people. We should get to be young and good looking, and then at some point get comfortable and fucking be able to eat what we want, live how we want to live. But in the society that we live in, it's kind of jarring when, once again, I'm kind of bringing the Madonna thing. Someone's young and beautiful, and that's how you know them. And then you have this thing called Zerg.net or something. Some clickbait shows a picture and said, hey, you want to see what she looks like now? And you're like, well, I guess I have to look. And then you do, and I have to admit, she's not attractive. She looks like Mama June. This is Bridget Fonda now. Kind of looks like, what do you think, Nikki? What are your thoughts on this?
It's alarming, but it also, I actually see the reverse of it. Just how much like anybody, you're not happy with your looks or your station in life. I mean, if you just really put in years and years of disciplined hard work, you can be beautiful. But if you give 3 weeks of eating like a fat ass, it'll go away in an instant.
That it truly does.
Yeah.
It's
wild. Cruel.
So forgive me again, audience. I am truly not trying to make light of someone who just wants to enjoy their life. Imagine Bridget Fonda for the first 30 years of her life. She needs to starve herself to be in movies and TV shows and look pretty for red carpets and get movie roles. And then finally she says, fuck it. It's freeing. But to someone who's looking at it, and again, I at the top of the show, I was like, it's really weird now that we have all this video and pictures. Like, now I would just see a picture of Bridget Fonda had I never known her or seen her in a movie and just go, oh, that's just a nice old lady. That's that's old Bridgie. That's she's nice. But because we have these two things, it's odd to me. Now, pull up this second one that I saw. And again, I was not seeking out this content, Nikki. It found me on Zerg.net. So it had a picture of want to see what this supermodel is up to today. And the supermodel was Linda Evangelista, okay? And so I was like, yeah, I'd like to know what she looks like today. So that was her in probably 1996, supermodel with Tara and who are the other ones? And then
Tyra Banks.
Tyra Banks, yeah.
And Rebecca Romaine Stamos.
Yeah, she was one of them.
And Heidi Klum.
Yeah.
The ones I jerked off to on Victoria's Secrets that would come from my sisters.
Who was the other black girl that was super attractive and still looks amazing? I can't think of her name. Oh, God damn it.
Oh, man.
She's super hot.
Yeah.
She was notorious for being like really, really a pain in the
Rebecca Romaine?
No.
But no, she's obviously not the black one that you
right,
referred to, but she was another one from the era.
Well, hit us up in the comments if you're punching your steering wheel right now. All right, so then look up Linda Evangelista now. Oh, yeah, there you go. Okay, so this is living proof that eventually we all age, okay? And she actually claims the reason that she looks like this is because she had one of those freeze fat surgeries and it froze her face this way. I think it's just because she likes to eat food now and she starved herself for 30 years.
I would say that it's not the freezing of the face. It would be like the and again, we're not trying to be mean, but it would be the weight gain, the frumpy outfit, the glasses, the lesbian hairstyle, and basically just the look on your face that did it.
This is going to be new to a new generation. Nikki, you're younger than me, so you've actually gotten to see, your whole life has been with videos and stuff. I'm old. I'm not used to this. I'm not used to seeing people how they get here. When I was a kid, there were old people and then there were young people. And now I've lived long enough now that I'm seeing the people that were young when I was young, when they were probably 10 years older than me. Now they look like grandpa and grandma, and forgive me, it's jarring.
I think about it a lot, especially like rap. Like I would listen to rap stars, and like when I was like 15, Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, they're like 30, but now they're 55. They're the same thing. Singing
Black
the same.
Don't Crack, though. They still kind of look the same.
It's true. So, like, that's just like a foreshadowing of what you're going to see with white people eventually. But I'm not a fan of most things white people do. Mm-hmm. I like NBA and hip-hop music. Mm-hmm. I like rap or country music, but those guys always look old when they start. It seems like it's weird.
What's the story of the person that never ages? Is that Peter Pan?
Yeah. He's one.
Yeah.
Who else doesn't age? There's a couple other people. Oh, Samson? No, he has strength. I don't know. There's some other non-aging people.
You know, I told my wife the other night. She was like, "Will you stop dyeing your goddamn beard? You look
She said
stupid." That? Yeah, she likes the silver fox. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Honey, let me do it till I'm 50, and then I'll give up. I'll give up."
But isn't that when you can fuck other people? Oh no,
no, I got 20 more years.
Oh.
Yeah. She said after we've been together 10, she said after 30 years I get a free pass. I said, "What's good is that going to do me?" Hey, sidebar, because I know we got a lot of stuff to get to. Can I tell a quick story about Linda Evangelista?
Yeah, I like this. The tangents are what get me out of bed in the morning.
I feel like I'm rambling because this is our third show. Okay.
Two people.
You know, I worked in that recording studio.
And I went pee, so you had to talk for 5 minutes. That probably made you feel like you were talking a lot as well.
That was fine. In 1997, I worked at this studio called Music Writer Studios. Okay. And it was mostly a hip hop studio, but every once in a while.
It wasn't for gay musicians specifically.
Now. Oh, music. Oh, nice. You know, before it went out of business, the singer of Korn bought it and did like a whole metal thing out of there.
Jonathan Davis.
Nice. So
from Bakersfield, California.
I was a food runner that eventually became a second engineer. There is this kind of like, what do you call it? Like a hierarchy. You work your way up. Then you become first engineer and you start working on big sessions with Madonna and the producers. And then eventually, if you're good enough and you have like music capabilities and a good ear, you become a producer. So
you're like the
steps.
white tiger.
You're the white tiger. Mm-hmm. So I started out as a food runner back in 1997, but I slowly started working my way in as second engineer, which would mean you'd be in the control room with a music artist. There'd be the first engineer controlling everything, but you'd be his bitch. And then, of course, there'd be the music artist. Well, we got a phone call one night on Sunday. We thought we were all done with the sessions for the day. And a musical artist named Brian Adams.
Oh, I was going to say McKnight. The Canadian, though.
Yes, Canadian. Brian Adams calls. And he calls my boss, Gary. And Gary calls me in the office. He says, "Pat, I got this big artist coming in. He just wants to do a quiet session." I was like, "Really?" Brian Adams, like, what's a big song?
I can't think of it.
I need somebody like you. Anyway, he had a bunch of other hits too. Like he had the soundtrack for Robin Hood. And Gary says, "Hey, he doesn't want any first engineers."
Robin Hood?
Yeah, the Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. He had like the big song for that. So he was kind of like on the height. This is 1997, you know. So he's inviting a big model in the session.
But in the South Park movie, it happened in 1998. The whole premise is they go to war with Canada because Terrence and Phillip have two aggressive cartoons.
Oh, right.
That are muddling the
Brian
children's
Adams
youth. No, but the Canadian government, when they're talking about like the wartime, they're like, and the Canadian government wants to completely apologize for Brian Adams. It wasn't our fault. So that's how I knew Brian Adams was
probably
Canadian.
a year after that. That must have hurt him. So, all right. So he says Brian Adams knows how to work a board. He just wants a second. So then my coworker Jay hears this. Another Jay, a little cog in my wheel.
So some musicians just come in by themselves.
He's going to come by himself, which is unheard of. He's an A-lister too. Yeah. This guy's a Grammy Award artist. He goes, "I want a quiet session. No hoopla. Just give me a second." So Gary goes, "All right, Pat, I know I offered this first, but you and Jay are going to do it together." So I'm like, "All right, we'll both be seconds for Brian Adams." This is a big fucking deal. Yeah. So the premise is Brian Adams is inviting Linda Evangelista alone because he met her at a party, learned that she plays the accordion as a hobby, and they're going to redo one of his songs. And he's telling her this whole premise.
What a move. What a move.
Oh, rock star move. "I'm going to rent this studio out. It'll be romantic. And we're going to re-record my song When You Love a Woman," which he didn't write, but it was in a movie with Johnny Depp where he played, who's the guy who slept with 200 women or 1,000 women? I forget. Don DeMarco.
Oh.
Don
Juan.
Yes.
Don Juan DeMarco. It's crazy that I know that. I don't know who that is.
When you love a woman.
Oh, it's not when a man loves a woman.
No. So he's going to come in and do that. So
have sex and stuff.
Dude shows up completely casual. He gives me the whole thing, and Jay, like, get a mic in there. We're going to mic up an accordion, get the soundboard ready, get the lights. Pat, you go get me some Perrier and some limes, which, by the way, You want to talk about living. Get yourself a little Perrier. Now they put lime infused in it. Back in the day, you'd cut the limes. That's when I learned you got to live as an A-lister. Anyway, I get that. It's all set up. Boom, boom, boom. Linda Evangelista, supermodel, walks in. It's Jay, me, Brian Adams, the owner, goes home. Linda Evangelista and her personal assistant, a lovely English girl from England.
Anyway. Who was supposed to distract the one cock block. Instead, he got 2 cock blocks.
Well, get this. Brian Adams, the whole time, he wants to fuck Linda Evangelista, and he's so trying to impress her. He's up at the board. He goes in there, does one take of, when you love a woman, tell her that she's... All right, so get this. So Linda
this is wild story, Pat.
It's amazing. I've been living in Los Angeles for less than a year. I'm in a room with Linda Evangelista and Brian Adams, and I'm hanging out. And I'll get to the story where I made a major misstep. Getting a little too comfortable with myself. So get this. So then it's time for Linda Evangelina. She's not a really good accordion player. She goes in there. He's telling her how fucking great she is. She knows he's lying.
You think she was hack accordion player?
Yeah, she's hack.
Her accordion playing left a lot to be desired.
Poor Brian Adams. While he's trying to get Linda Evangelista to get into him because of this whole thing, this girl makes $10,000 a day waking up. She's billionaires are trying to fuck her, not this Canadian hack over here. So Linda starts hitting on Jay, telling him how cute he is. This little Jewish second engineer, fully hitting on him.
What happened? Where were you?
We're all in the same, we're in a room like this, but a big desk, a console. Everything's going on. He's mixing things, trying to make everything sound good.
Jay or Brian?
Brian is. Brian's busy trying to play this part that he gives a fuck about this song they're going to do for charity. And the English girl, Megan, is hitting on me.
Oh, nice.
We're going to go on a double date. We're talking about what we're doing tomorrow. We're getting real with each other. I'm hanging out with Linda Evangelista. She's my best friend. Brian starts to get pissed.
Fucking cockblock Brian Adams, you bitch. You bitch.
It's wonderful. I can't believe my own good luck.
Oh, you love it.
I'm going to go on a double date with Linda Evangelista on Saturday. So get this. This is the major misstep and kind of probably my own worst enemy. So Brian's at the console. Jay's sitting next to him at this point because I'm making drinks.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get a little comfortable. I put my feet up on the desk. And they're replaying the song. And it's When You Love a Woman. Brian had this in post. And I said, hey, Brian, you decided to leave the bridge out? You didn't want to do the bridge in this version of the song? I'm kind of having fun. Because there isn't a bridge in this song. Jokester. Come on, Brian. I love the bridge of the song. You left the bridge out. And this is when Jay turned back, my buddy, coworker, and did this.
What were you thinking, Pat?
Jay mouthed to me, shut the fuck up. Because I was ruining it for everybody.
I know.
I was going to piss off Brian.
What were you thinking? Why were you getting so comfortable?
Because I was too young. I was 22. I was feeling it.
It's crazy how fast you can go from like, how is this happening to I belong here. This is my room. I'm going to fuck Linda Evangelista.
No,
tonight.
Megan the assistant, but Jay's going to nail it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what a great night. And the session ended. I think numbers were exchanged, like most nights in Hollywood. And then no one ever picks up the phone.
Well,
Linda,
Jay dodged a bullet is the point of this story. Look at that. No, just kidding. She was hot then, so
she's still beautiful. Anyway, I sounded like a pig. Let me know in the comments how you feel about what I talked about.
Was that it?
Oh yeah, that's it.
Because it is the side personal story.
Oh yeah, that was the personal story. Brian ended up leaving, and and they went in separate cars, so he didn't get laid that night, despite his greatest efforts to try and nail a supermodel.
Yeah, so it's crazy how people have pictures of them their whole lives.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, Wild. Yeah, you're right. Probably should wrap that up.
That's what I mean. That's right. So
our entire lives now will be photographed, and maybe it will normalize it. But to this podcaster, this old podcaster, it's still weird when you see people that were young and virile and your heroes and superstars now get old before your eyes and act the fool. Madonna.
Classic. All right. Wow, that was quite the tale. I really was. I love that story. I felt like I was
up.
I felt like I was in that recording room. Yeah, some weird people in those rooms, I will say. So I feel like I just have to walk out on stage after someone just crushed a room and stand up. How do we transition? But again, you guys know I have a large passion for MMA. In an effort to get people to share my passion, I want to try to connect mixed martial arts to kind of don't look up at the screen. Nothing up at the screen.
Oh, sorry.
You have to look at. I want to kind of bridge the gap between what seems like the niche, brutal mixed martial arts to society's pop culture. Mm-hmm. And to do that today, I want to point out some notable people who have jumped from mixed martial artists to the silver screen and become actors, had bit parts, varying degrees of success, but I'm going to point out some notable examples.
Now, for clarity, this is people that actually punch each other, not people that wear colorful underoos and fake like they're fighting in the wrestling ring, correct?
Yes, okay. That would be called professional wrestling, which does seem to be experiencing some sort of renaissance amongst adults.
Unbelievable.
It's crazy how many people are talking about WrestleMania, although Pat McAfee is the man. You know who Pat McAfee is? Former punter for the Indianapolis Colts. He was always a character. He one time, just out of nowhere, he didn't tell anybody on a kickoff. It was like first quarter. He onside kicked it, and he recovered his own onside kick because he just dribbled down the middle.
In an actual game?
In actual game, full game, regular season.
Oh, I would have fired him.
Everybody loves Pat McAfee. He's a huge guy. He had a whole joke like for the brand, like punters are people too was his movement. Retired from the Colts, good friends with Peyton. Then started working for Barstool, very popular Barstool, left Barstool, did his own thing to move back to Indianapolis. Just recently got $120 million from DraftKings for 4 years for his TV show. He's the guy who has Aaron Rodgers on every Tuesday and was breaking all that news.
Oh, and he also hates Tom Brady.
It's like shtick, but yeah, he'll rail against Tom Brady. And then he, in just evidence of why you should just pursue your passions no matter where you are. So he's doing this show. Then he talks about how much he loves professional wrestling. Years ago, he becomes the announcer for WWE with Michael Cole. Mm-hmm. People love him. He's like now an attraction. He stands up on the desk. He gets the crowd going before the show. Then at WrestleMania last night, 2-night event, he wrestles.
2-night event?
Yeah, 2 nights. Sold out the Jerry Stadium, the Dallas 106,000, 2 nights in a row, sold it out. Logan Paul fought. I think Ronda Rousey fought. Maybe she didn't. Bunch of stars out. It was crazy. They're really good at making headlines. But Pat McAfee actually fought, and he killed it. Like from the top rope, he did a backflip. I think they're going to make him WWE champion. He's one of the.
He needs a better name. Call him like the.
It's
barber.
His real name. Pat McAfee for the brand.
Have a funny name.
It was a beautiful moment. He killed it at WWE, and I think he's going to be champion. And there's not, with all his success, all his money, you cannot find someone to say a bad word about Pat McAfee.
That helps in the business.
It's incredible.
You want to work with those people.
He's Dave Portnoy's rival, left Dave Portnoy's business. Dave Portnoy's known for, but he loves Pat McAfee. And everybody wishes him success. Pat McAfee's the man for the brand. But no, I'm not talking about professional wrestling.
And their underoos.
I'm talking about actual fighting, mixed martial arts. It seemed like a once brutal sport that John McCain redundantly referred to as human cockfighting.
Oh, yeah.
Which I always hated because it's just fighting. If you say it's cockfighting, then that's cocks fighting. Mm-hmm. If you say it's human fighting, then it's human fighting. But human cockfighting is just then again back to fighting. Mm-hmm. It's redundant. Pissed me off. John McCain now loves the sport. He loved the sport. He became a big UFC fan after helping it get regulated. Actually, a pioneer in the sport.
Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, he said it was so brutal. He's like, we need to regulate it. Now it's commissioned by state. It was actually one of the biggest problems in the thing because the state-by-state commissions don't actually care about the sport. Mm-hmm. Just places like the Las Vegas Commission, they they run it like a monopoly and they don't care, and they stick out this 80-year-old woman to judge people fighting, and she's never seen a fight in her life or doesn't know a fucking takedown from a double leg to a bar.
This is where Dylan would say, get back on track, man.
And normally that would piss me off, but in this situation, he would be right. I am going to tell you guys some mixed martial arts stars who have crossed over to the silver screen and become actors. Some or maybe even TV stints. They could be small. They could be big. This is no particular order. Just some examples of people who have made this leap. Some mundane but nice stories. Kenny Florian. He was a 155-pounder, 175-pounder, fought GSP. He became the announcer for BattleBots. Nice crossover for years. Really passionate about BattleBots.
Carmen Electra was co-host of that.
I'm sure she was not the co-host. I'm sure she was some dotty sideline reporter.
Yeah,
it's a real sport that needs to be dissected by people like Kenny Florian, who's announced it for years. So that's a fun one. Yeah. Let's go to number 2. We've got... Taylor Willie. He was in UFC 1, literally the first ever fight.
1996?
Yeah, 1993.
Oh, whoa.
It's crazy because they're at UFC 273 this upcoming Saturday. There's a UFC numbered event every month. Back in the day, UFC 1 was like 1993. And then, like, UFC 13 was, like, 1998. Like, that's how far they were spaced apart.
So I wasn't an idiot when I said
No. I mean, like, if you're going by where the UFC numbered events landed years, I think that was pretty good, decent math guess, shot in the dark. But the first one, Taylor Willie, he was first ever UFC match. But he had a nice little part in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Get out of here.
Yeah, let's take a look at this fun little part. He was a big Samoan.
Hope I'm not spoiling it. This is the pig killing scene.
It is, in fact.
Come here.
And if anybody's confused, it wasn't Jason Segel. It was the other fat guy.
I gotta go. I'm prepping a pig for tomorrow's luau. You should come and help me. It'll take your mind off of things.
Yeah? You don't mind?
Ah.
I mean, I must say, I'm a pretty good cook.
All right. Please don't make me do this. Who is it? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can stop crying now. He's dead already.
I'm not crying. You should stop crying.
I don't cry. I'm not a baby.
Really? Because you look like a gigantic baby.
Yeah, so that's Taylor Wiley.
I could see him on a sitcom, like Third Banana. He's like the crazy uncle.
And he's super funny in that scene. He's got a couple other scenes, like Jason Segel has a bunch of tissues next to him. He's like, are those happy tissues or those sad tissues? But yeah, he was in UFC 1, and let's watch his fight in its entirety. This was I always fuck up this guy's name because it's really hard to pronounce. Hold on, the guy he fought, it is Gerard Godot. So this was in the early UFCs before any regulations or rules. In fact, the tagline was the only rules are there are no rules.
Yeah, the opposite of Fight Club.
Yeah. Talk about it a lot and tell everybody you know so people pay for it. But this was billed as sumo, which of course was Taylor Wiley versus I think he was Taekwondo, Gerard Godot. Center.
Before he's playing this, Nick, this is where I actually was kind of with John McCain because none of these fights seemed really sanctioned. You'd have a 350-pound sumo wrestler versus, I guess, a 95-pound kickboxer, and they're going to kill each other in the ring.
Oh,
it was
yes.
Scary.
For true passionate MMA fans, this is actually a black mark on the history of the sport, and we all actually agree John McCain was right. There needed to be some regulation.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
The sideshow that Campbell McLaren had been building was not what we wanted to see in true competition, two men fighting for each other. But again, let's watch this fight in its entirety. Again, this Taylor Wiley. He was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Oh, bare fist, too.
Yep, no gloves. No shoes. You could wear shoes if you wanted to.
Really?
Yeah.
Kathy, what do you think? Let's go long.
Oh, and it's over. And it's over. Oh, no, it's not over. But he did knock his tooth out there. They will show on a replay later.
Really?
That is now deemed an illegal move. If you have a knee down, you cannot kick someone in the head. That is called a soccer kick and not allowed.
Really?
Yeah.
Is the fight over?
They do deem the fight over.
Oh,
It is
okay.
from one kick to the ground, and that was the first ever UFC fight. And yeah, this is just one notable crossover from MMA into acting. Taylor Willie, he was in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Cute scene. Number 2, we had Tito Ortiz.
Dumbass.
Absolute legend of the sport. He fought for titles. He fought till he was nearly 50. But he also spent a little time in politics besides some of his acting roles.
He had to step down. Huh?
Yeah, let's hear about some of his political endeavors. So in 2020, Ortiz ran for city council seat in his hometown of Huntington Beach with the intention of eventually becoming mayor. On November 5th, 2020, Ortiz was elected as one of the winners of the open seats. On December 7th, 2020, Ortiz was sworn in as mayor pro tem of Huntington Beach. On November 30th, 2020, Ortiz led a curfew breaker protest against COVID-19 regulations on the Huntington Beach Pier. In May 2021, it surfaced that Ortiz had filed for unemployment in February of 2021, despite not being unemployed or underemployed. Ortiz resigned from city council on June 1st, 2021, after less than 6 months.
I believe he took
office.
that EDD money. I think that was the scuttlebutt there.
Yeah, that seems like a very poorly written wiki article. He filed for unemployment. Unless that's real, which could be, because Tito Ortiz is a dumbass. But he is a notable example of someone who jumped from mixed martial arts into acting. And we should pull up his IMDb just to say what he did. But he's just another notable example. I want to say some of the fun stuff he did in politics. Let's see. We have... I fucking hate the IMDb app. It's one of the worst.
It's one of the worst. It's almost like they want you to upgrade and pay for it. Like, hey, dude, I'm just trying to see how many movies Harrison Ford was in. Okay?
Why is all filmography one of the smallest buttons on the page? But he was in Robot Apocalypse, Bleach, Trauma Center, Above the Shadows, Silencer, Boo 2, A Medea Halloween, and CSI New York, and Numbers.
It sounds like Bruce Willis's movie catalog of 2021.
Yeah.
Making that money.
A lot. That is so sad. I didn't hear about it, but now it's everywhere. Did that just come out that day we talked about it?
Yeah.
It's aphasia? Oh, yeah.
Although I heard Dr. Drew on his podcast today, he said aphasia is not a real thing. It's the news, the way they're reporting this is it's not accurate at all. He could be totally fine.
That was on what?
Dr. Drew show. I listened to that Snorefest.
Oh, interesting. It is a good PR stunt because people are feeling real bad about Bruce Willis.
While you're pulling this up, sidebar for Bruce Willis, and this might have been because he was in fact sick and wasn't comfortable. My friend Gia was in a movie with him, and she did a scene, and he does not do the scene with you when you're actually filming the scene. Like she played his daughter in the movie, and they never actually were in the same room during the movie filming. And it could have been because he was so insecure that he was just having his body double do it because he was trying to limit himself to how many scenes he could do because he was tired and couldn't remember his lines. Anyway, sidebar.
Or it could be because he's a narcissist. He doesn't allow
or that.
peons to be in the same room with him.
He's well known in Hollywood as being a complete asshole for 30 years. Anyway.
Now, there's a million examples I could pull, some notable examples. I'm going to close out with one more and bring this segment back because it's making me laugh. Joe Son. He was an 0-4 mixed martial artist, including a submission loss in his professional MMA debut versus Keith Hackney at UFC 4. Joe Son went on to play Random Task in Austin Powers, the character that parodied the 007 series' Odd Job. Let's see his first scene in Austin Powers, a pretty classic one, honestly. Who throws a shoe?
Oh, lovely, Austin.
Right over there is fine, thank you.
Let's go out on the terrace. It's a beautiful night. We can look at the stars.
Smashing idea, man.
Oh, whoa.
lump there, you idiot. Who throws a shoe? Honestly. You fight like a woman.
Honestly, it's not mine.
No, use it.
What a great movie.
Classic. The first one. The other two are horrible. Now I'm familiar with this guy. I don't want to step on anything that you might mention. Other notable things about this actor.
I just have one small note. But definitely don't mention anything. Yeah, so that's Random Task. Very funnily parodies Odd Job. Random Task, Odd Job. That's hilarious. One other small note about Joe Son. He pleaded guilty to felony vandalism on May 16th, 2008, whereupon he was sentenced to probation and 60 days in jail. On August 18th, 2008, he was taken into custody and given an additional 90 days in jail due to a probation violation for failing to report to the Department of Probation and keep them informed of his current residence. As a condition of his original plea agreement, Son was required to provide a DNA sample. In early October 2008, his DNA sample was linked to a 1990 Christmas Eve gang rape.
I watched Dateline.
All through the house, not a creature was stirring except a vicious gang ready to rape a woman. As a condition of his already in custody for a probation violation, Son was arrested at the Theo Lacey facility on October 7th, 2008. In October 2008, Son was charged by California authorities in relation to his participation in the 1990 gang rape. He was initially charged in Orange County, California with 5 counts of rape, 2 counts of felony forcible sodomy, 2 felony counts of sodomy in concert by force, that's gang rape, 7 felony counts of forcible oral copulation, and 1 felony, that's forcing your... and 1 felony count of sexual penetration by a foreign object by force. He faced a maximum sentence of 275 years of life if convicted. Son and an accomplice tortured and repeatedly raped the victim before releasing her with her pants tied around her eyes. During the trial, the woman said that Son told her, "It's Christmas. This is your lucky day." Before jury selection began for his trial in early August 2011, the initial charges against Son were dropped, having expired due to the statute of limitations. Son was then charged with conspiracy to commit murder and torture, crimes which have no statute of limitations. In late August, Son was found guilty of 1 felony count of torture. In October 2011, while serving his sentence, Son was accused of killing his cellmate, Michael Thomas Graham, who was serving 2 years for failure to register in the county as a sex offender. The killing happened on October 10th, 2011 on B Yard Reception, Building 5 at Wisco State Prison. The beating occurred at 5:25 p.m. and Graham died 25 minutes later. After the killing, Son was moved to solitary confinement and he received an additional 27-year sentence. So that's just one extra note of notable people who have crossed over from MMA into acting. So if it piqued anybody's interest into the sport I love so much.
I knew he killed someone.
Yeah, but evidently it was almost, if you read the details, it was almost kind of atoning for the vicious gang rape because he
beat that rap.
Yeah.
He should definitely die in prison.
No, but I'm saying he beat a fellow sex offender.
Oh, right.
To death.
There you go. What do you think, Nikki? I think we've done enough talking for the week.
Yeah, just again, those are some notable people who've crossed over from MMA to acting. 52 minutes. That's a great effort.
I feel so informed now.
Yeah.
I can't wait to tell that story at a cocktail party.
And and excited for UFC 273. Have some facts. Well, that does it for us, everybody. Sign up for patreon.com/Another Podcast Network for our coverage of The Ultimatum, Below Deck Down Under, and an additional episode of Another Podcast Show most weeks. And upgrade to the $10 tier for arguably the best show on the network, PMZ. Pat, any things to sign off?
That's it.
All right. Goodbye.
I'm out of here.